Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening to you, sports fans. We are back again for episode 5, and we just wanted to start by thanking you for tuning in again. Whether you're a first time listener, a social media follower, or accidentally found us, we appreciate you spending your time with us. We had a lot of exciting football this weekend, the hunt for October in the MLB, and we're just 2 days away from the NHL regular season as we release this show. We know the content never stops, so let's get going.
It's time to wake up and check what's brewing.
In the air, left field. The Tigers march to the World Series.
Schultz, 5 seconds left in the game. Do you believe in miracles? Yes! Unbelievable.
This is what we do. This is what we're on now.
Welcome to Coffee and Cups, your Sunday morning sportscast with your hosts, Chris and Derek.
Hello again. We're back. I'm here in Chicago. Derek's over in Tecumseh or somewhere in Michigan. Derek, how has your week been since we last talked?
Played in a golf outing this weekend. It was good. It was interesting. Back at the old country club. Used to play out there a little bit more last summer, but that was pretty much the highlight of the week. I don't know where we ended up with it. We were only like 4 under, so it wasn't the best thing. A little bit of rain, but it was nice to be out there and play a little bit longer course for the area. So it was fun. It was interesting, but nothing crazy outside of that. Pretty simple. Did
you have your normal partner?
No. I got invited to be a part of this team. It was for a fundraiser. So somebody put up the whole money for the team and just asked me to fill in.
Oh, damn. Where was it at again?
The Tecumseh Country Club.
Nice. Well, that's awesome. Hey, free golf is the best golf, just like free beer is the best beer. Yeah, I mentioned last week I got back into the gym, took a couple classes, and holy shit, am I out of shape. It's bad, man. I only missed one set, but I did miss one set in my first class because I had to go sit in the bathroom and I was trying not to puke. It was a good time. The reason I picked the place that I picked is because it's not a CrossFit gym. I don't want to call it a CrossFit gym, but it's more functional training. So they have boxing classes, a lot of active movement. You got turf for sled pushes and running, agility ladders. They got the tires you can flip or do the get out the big old hammers, but then they have all your traditional cardio equipment, bench, squat, free weights, all that sort of stuff. And so, yeah, it was brutal. And I actually went to a class this morning at 6:30 a.m. And I've earned every bit of this misery. So I don't know. I don't know what your workout life's looking like, but it's tough to get back in, man. You don't realize it.
I pay for a gym membership, but I haven't gone for a while, so it's not the most financial. I guess.
Do you pay a lot for a gym membership, or
no? I'm not stupid. I know that I was eventually not going to go. The only reason I don't cancel is because it's not close to here, and I don't feel like driving to go. But I play golf 3 times a week. So
I was going to say, and that's
twice a week, but.
Yeah, and how much do you? I know you're a proponent of the Whoop system. Do you use that still?
No, I lost the charger when I got back from my cruise.
Damn,
so
I was going to ask,
don't know how to do it.
I was curious, how much you burn during an average round of golf. How physically intense is it?
I don't even know if I still have the Whoop app, but that would definitely tell me. I mean, it's all dependent too on your activity. I will tell you, in the peak summer, I was burning quite a bit of calories with it, but I don't even know if I'll be able to find any of those days. I would have to go pretty far back. Let's see.
You could just start walking the course, and then you'd be good. You'd be fine.
Let's see. On a normal Wednesday, no, that doesn't even have it. I'm not finding any days that I actually played golf.
That's all right. We can we can keep looking for it. One thing I did want to start the show with, I know we've talked about on almost every episode, NIL, name, image, and likeness. Pretty crazy week last week. So we had 2 players from UNLV who we talked about with Mike they're in the hunt for that group of 5 position for the college football playoff, and to have your starting quarterback and one of your running backs that's actually taken snaps this year essentially say that they're done, they're going to redshirt and leave the program. And then we had Bayer Alexander over at USC, who essentially did the same thing. He's jumped around a lot. He went to 4 different high schools, committed to Georgia, decommitted from Georgia, signed with Georgia, transferred to USC. So not a big surprise there. But what's your take on the craziness that ensued last week and what that maybe potentially means for what's to come?
I don't know if UNLV actually wanted him at all. I don't know if you saw, but a couple of the casinos offered to put up the money, and the school said no. So I don't know if there was more behind that, maybe more of a cultural kind of me situation, but there was money that was offered to be put up, and the school didn't want it. So there's clearly more behind this story than what's getting out, and maybe it's for his benefit and for the school's benefit, and they're just willing to wash their hands. But it's not a great look for the young man. I mean, it's a tough look that you're just going to give up. I know we see it a lot in bowl games, and people do not like that when you see a lot of your starters sitting out because of the NFL and their potential, and now seeing it in NIA. That was just going to be a completely different scenario, and I think a lot of people are going to start to be bothered if this becomes a trend.
Yeah, and he is a 43.8% passer this year, 318 yards through 3 games, 6 touchdowns, 1 pick though, so that's good. But I mean, I think I sent it to you guys. The backup came up and put up a pretty damn good stat line. So
Yeah.
I don't know if they miss him. I think they're still in hot contention for the group of 5 spot, but definitely a wild one nonetheless.
I mean, we can't count the backup in strong yet. He still has a little bit of ground to I guess break and gain, if you will. I mean, we could easily call it a one-off. It needs to continue to truly be able to show that he can play at that caliber of what they were doing. Seeing 4 games strong and then 1 good game, it's kind of like Arch starting the first game, right?
Yeah,
you're gonna see some good things, but now that he's showing consistency, he's showing that he's a true threat.
Yeah, so the backup 13 for 16, 182 passing yards, 119 rush yards, and 4 total touchdowns. So, yeah, like Derek said, we'll see if they can sustain that. But as of now, it appears Mr. Matt Sluka got the short end of the stick, not UNLV.
Sure.
Obviously, don't know the whole situation, so don't want to comment on it too much. You know, we like to talk some shit here, but yeah, don't know the situation. One thing we do know the situation of, and I know Derek, you're not a big baseball guy, but really entertaining situation that we had yesterday. If you didn't see it, the wild card situation, I believe it's in the National League. The Braves and Mets were tied, and they had a double header yesterday, actually. And essentially, if one of the teams took both games, they made the playoffs. If they split it, they both made the wild card weekend. And so my dad texted me. He said a lot of like radio hosts are saying they should both just forfeit one of the games so they don't have to play, and then they just both get to the wild card anyway. But pretty crazy comeback. I believe the Mets won the first game. Braves won the second game, and so they both got into the playoffs. Just a wild situation there. And I know, again, you know, not massive baseball guys, but definitely a cool high intensity sports situation going into the weekend, or the week at least.
What was the score of those 2 games? I mean, was it lopsided enough to where it could look like, okay, were we really putting in good starting pitchers? I can pull it too. 8-7, 3-0. Okay, so the first one was competitive.
In the first one, there was like
terrible.
I believe the Mets had a 4-run comeback, if I'm not mistaken. So I mean, it was back and forth. It was definitely an entertaining game.
Yeah, they did. They had more than that. They had yeah, I guess you could say it's 4 runs because they scored 6 in the 8th and 2 in the 9th. So, yeah, they had all their runs in the last 2 innings to go through and pull that game out.
Yeah, that's the one thing about baseball. It's cool because there's no time limit, right? And so, you know, in other sports where, you know, you're up against the clock, baseball, if you're hot, man, you could make, you know, the top of an inning last for an hour if you score 6, 7, 8 runs. I mean, it's just a different type of sport, and definitely an interesting one. Another one that I did want to bring up on the show before we move on, Shohei Ohtani. I know it's old news now. First ever player in MLB history to have a 50 home run, 50 steal season. He was the fastest to 40 home runs and 40 steals. So I shouldn't even say probably definitely the greatest baseball player of all time. You don't see pitchers hitting for squat, and then you see this guy. He had Tommy John surgery. He has nothing in his pitching elbow, and he just comes out and hits 50+ home runs. Now I know obviously that specific ligament, it clearly doesn't impair you from doing what you need to as a hitter, because they wouldn't have cleared him to play if it did. But still, I think it would have been easy for him to say, "Nah, I'm not going to play this year. I'm going to rest up and pitch next year." But this guy just went out and had quietly, not so quietly, one of the, if not the best seasons in baseball history.
Do you think he bet on himself for this season?
I bet his interpreter did.
Yeah, I didn't know if he left that in 2023 or if he was really betting for a hot year this year, because maybe he made 2 contracts.
Hey, maybe his translator paid off all of his lawyer fees with that. You never know.
Where is his translator at? We need to do a where are they now?
I'm pretty sure prison is where you go for stealing millions of dollars from your client. Pretty sure he's in jail.
I don't know. I mean, don't you have to press charges for that to happen? Are there
I think
charges
he did.
pressed?
I don't think no, because that's a federal crime. He's
What,
he's
you
got to be
saying
locked up.
embezzlement is?
He literally went to somebody's bank account that wasn't his and stole millions of dollars.
Yeah, but I think you have to press charges. It's a private offense. It's not
He
like he
pled
stole
guilty.
Okay.
His
So he did.
sentencing is set for October 25th, so we'll know soon just how much time he's going to spend behind bars.
Okay. Interesting.
It's a sad situation. Sad
It happens a lot in
situation.
sports. It happens a lot.
Well, before we move on to anything else, Derek, anything else for your week, for your month, coming into this episode, anything fresh besides golfing?
Tigers in the playoffs for the first time since 2014, which is, I mean, I don't really watch baseball, but there's a lot of hype around the community. You could say I was not, I guess, tapped into how long it's been. I remember watching them as a kid being good. I did not remember following them throughout college and kind of the current modern era, but seeing them back in the community buzz, it's kind of nice. Detroit's pretty much total buzzing right now. You have the Lions going off. You have Tigers going. Now we just got to get the Red Wings started up, and it'll be a pretty interesting time to be a Michigan sports fan. Now, it doesn't really pertain to me, but it's interesting to see.
I think early in April they had a 0.2% chance to make it to the playoffs, and now obviously, make it, and it is crazy. And you mentioned it's been 10 years since they made the playoffs, and I think 10 years ago, correct me if I'm wrong, might have been that ridiculous year where they had like 4 Cy Young winners on the roster, or was that I got to fact check myself there. Yeah, they had was it that year? I can't remember. But yeah, there was one year where they had like Justin Verlander, Max Scherzer, David Price, Rick Porcello. Essentially, they had 4 guys that ended up winning Cy Youngs on their roster, and they got swept in the playoffs. They also had Miguel Cabrera, Nick Castellanos, Ian Kinsler, and still Torrey Hunter, Raji Davis, and still could not get out of the first round of the playoffs. So, great for the city of Detroit, but we'll see what the Tigers can do. We'll follow on a little bit. I know my dad's a big baseball guy, so I'll have him keep me updated on the scores, and I'll have a Stevie over in New York give me the latest. Like I said, we'll kick it on. I want to talk about beer league tonight, and just kind of adult league sports. I know we spend a lot of time talking about college football, NFL, things like that. But part of the beauty of the show is Derek and I are both out of our prime athletes, former college athletes, trying to get better at sports that weren't our college sports. And so I just wanted to kind of, kick it over to you, Derek, and talk through your transition once you got out of college and once you finished up with lacrosse. And like, I know you've had kind of a love-hate relationship with golf, or maybe not love-hate, but you've had those times where you're playing a lot, and then you kind of go on those streaks. And so just talk to me about like getting back into golf since you've been an adult, and from a recreational or even a competitive standpoint.
I gave up golf when I signed on to play college lacrosse. I used to play golf every summer growing up. Obviously played travel lacrosse too, but spent a lot of time playing golf. And then when or when I went on to go through and signed, I completely gave up golf and didn't play golf for like 4 years. So coming out of school, it was nice, it was fun, but it was definitely a little bit more of a challenge. I could I can say now that it makes a little bit more sense when people are making swing adjustments and tweaks and things like that, because I've never really gotten down into the nitty gritty of golf. But doing that now a little bit, it's made it a little bit more fun, a little bit more interesting, if you will. Now, what I will say is it's a way different environment. It's not as competitive as anything. Obviously, it's not a competitive atmosphere in any type of league, but just golf in general, just because of the age groups. I have yet to be in a golf league where anyone is within 20 years of my age. So it's a little bit more interesting there. Obviously, my partner is my age, but the normal people that we go against is way different. So it's a little bit more of a laid back type of atmosphere. I will say it's a struggle to try and get competitive in golf in any like league situation. Now on like weekend matches and things like that, my partner and I try, and like my cousins and friends and stuff like that, those get a little bit more competitive, and that's a little bit easier to get into when you get a little bit more into that flow like you had back in college and stuff like that. But it's way different. And I'm someone that if I'm not emotionally invested, then I could care less what happens.
Do you, and because obviously knowing your partner, you guys both love to talk trash. Do you kind of compete against each other? When even though you're playing on the same team, does that kind of get you riled up or no?
No, we try and screw with people that we play with. So one of the biggest things that we like subtly do is if so like most of the time I putt first because I'm a terrible putter, but every other shot I go second. Just trying to see if it needs to play safe or if we need to go through and kind of get aggressive with it. But the kind of the best way we do it is we just like, I don't know, we try, maybe it's just us trying to have fun with it, but we try and mess with people when we're out there. So like when we putt, say I miss the putt or something, I'll kind of walk up, and because it's a best ball, so it's not
Yeah.
like we're putting our own ball, so we can't really compete against one another. But what we'll try and do is say, oh man, I think you hit that like 4.6. I think we need to probably go like 4.8, maybe 5.2 even, and just kind of mess with them like we have like a power meter or something, just so people really, I don't know, like listen in or like, what the hell are these guys talking about, just to kind of mess with them. But it's more or less just poking fun like that and trying to get a rise and a reaction out of people versus anything, just especially with the league that we're in now. It's a mixed league. So it's very, very laid back.
And
So
so
if we played our own ball, we would probably get competitive, but playing best ball, you really can't.
you're always playing a foursome though in that league?
Yeah, it's always the two of us and then two other people.
Just two, so it rotates.
Yeah, every single week. Yeah.
Speaking of messing with other people, do you remember what you and Ricky did to me when we went golfing together?
Yeah, I prepped you for your workout class.
Yeah, I get back to the pro shop and they're talking to me, about whatever they put in my bag, or they're messing with my bag, and I get in, and like a week later I go golfing again, and there's a full on damn brick from like the stairs going back up to the pro shop in my side pocket of my golf bag. I don't know what I did with it, but I did keep it for a while.
You should have kept it. It's a nice doorstop.
See, my classic go to is it's kind of lame, but I always do the bag unstrap. And we actually we had a little village, which is where I work. They have a Chamber of Commerce golf outing. Our company participates in that, so we send some people there. And last year there were a couple of young ladies that went that weren't really interested in golfing, just there to have a good time. Had a few pops, and I got them 7 times. And I felt half bad because one of them was using rented clubs and one of them was using somebody else's clubs, but I got them 7 times and they never figured it out. After, when we had the luncheon, I had to tell them, they're like, I just kept driving and my bag just kept falling. And I was like, yeah, because I was undoing your bag the entire damn time. And so that's my classic go-to.
That organically happens at the club that we play at for league, just because the straps are a little bit worn there. So there's times when you hit bumps that we reach back and kind of grab the towels just in case. But I will tell you, if you do that to the wrong person, they would probably fight you. If my bags fall off, even like when it's an accident, because I don't drive. So even when it's like an accident, like I still get mad because like all my clubs are new within the last year. And
Yeah.
so like I would fight you. I'd be pissed.
Exactly. And that's why I always I know my audience. I always pick people that are
that's
like
fair.
either don't care about golf or don't have nicer clubs. Cause yeah, I would get pissed too if somebody did it to me, but I'm also of the mindset that you got to pay attention to your surroundings. And so even though I'm the only one I know that does that, I'm always checking my bag straps after almost like every hole. So you gotta be prepared when you're golfing with other people, especially if there's drinking involved, man.
If you want to be talking about checking where your surroundings, it was like probably like within the last month of league this year. My partner, he doesn't hit as far as I do, so sometimes I approve him being like, "Oh yeah, you can hit. You won't hit them. Like I won't hit though," knowing that he could probably hit them. And twice he drove over the group ahead of us, and it was great. They were pissed, but it was a great time because every time I was like, "Yeah, I don't know what he's doing." Like, and I full and well was like, "Yeah, he could probably hit him, but let's let it ride."
Yeah, I did that with my brother one time because he's not a big golfer. He just golfs to hang out with me, and we were on like a par four, second shot. We were like 160 out, and so there's a group at the next tee box. It's a tight tee box, and now I'm thinking this might run in the family because I told a story about me doing the same thing. But he sailed it right. He flushed it, and he doesn't know golf etiquette, so he didn't yell four, and so as it was getting close to the card, I'm like, four, four. And it just barely clears the card. And we get up there, and the dude is just fuming. It's like two older gentlemen and one kid. And turns out it's, I believe, either the owner or like the general manager of the course itself, just bringing his kid out for a nice Saturday morning stroll. And yeah, Nick tried to kill him. So I've definitely been there before. And I'm always uncomfortable because, like, me being somebody that's like, try to practice golf etiquette, it's always kind of cringy because you never know how people could react, right? Somebody could try to fight you because you accidentally shanked a bit of a shot, and so you just never know what you're going to run into on the golf course, depending on who they are, how much they've been drinking today, or what else is going on in their life.
So would you say that's a pretty average shot for your brother? That ability?
No, his average shot barely gets off the ground.
So you'd say you're a significantly better golfer than him?
Yeah, I think the last time we played, he shot a 143.
That there was a
It's
time
pretty bad.
when we placed a bet and you lost.
We didn't even finish the round, I don't think so. I don't know if this counts. Yeah, I definitely got in my own head. What was it? I think you bet me a stroke a hole, and so I had
Yeah.
to beat him by 18, and it was close to that. And yeah, I wasn't playing great. I don't
I think
remember
I
how
was
that finished,
texting you.
honestly.
I think I was texting you while it happened, and Nick was texting me what was happening. So I was also messing with you the whole time. I think I was working.
Yeah, Derek does this thing where he like gasses you up and he's like, "Oh man, you're such a great golfer," blah blah blah, and then he just does it specifically to put you in a position where he's gonna bet you and try to take your money or screw you over. He's good with the head game, so I'll give him that.
It doesn't work for me. Play with my cousins. They're way better. I tried that this year actually. Well,
Yeah, I
I'll
mean,
say that I had my two older cousins. They we talked. Ricky and I talked them into coming and playing with us. This is probably my oldest cousin. He started playing golf probably last year. Not great. Like last year, it all wasn't very great. This year, he started to really pick it up, and so we were like, yeah, we could still easily beat these guys. And so we took him to the first course over just off of 223 here and Legacy, and we were up. We won the front by like 4 holes. We were up 4, and then we didn't win a single hole in the back. Lost every single.
oof, that's
And we
tough.
still now have played them probably 5 times this year, and we've never won. And this is one kid that
That's tough.
plays pretty regularly, and another kid that he's a year and a half, 2 years in, and we just can't beat them, and it just doesn't make sense to me.
Hey, I know we've been talking a lot about your good partner Ricky today. I think he said some pretty terrible things about the University of Texas this weekend, and so I think we should out him on here. Derek, can you tell me about some of Ricky's golf clubs? I heard, from what I understand, he had, or maybe has, I don't know, some interesting clubs in his bag and didn't know it.
He plays pings right now with Big Berthas, and then I think he has just Jaws wedges.
Now, see, I specifically remember his driver.
He got a brand new one. He's got a Ping. He just went all like Ping G. I think he hits the same driver you hit now. I know where you're going with this, and I'm not doing it.
Why aren't we doing it?
Because.
All right, we'll skip that conversation. Anyway.
I mean, if you want to talk about his clubs, you could talk about how we got him to hit a rock one time.
That did happen. I believe he did tee a ball up off a piece of granite one time, and it. I think he actually took a piece out of the granite, so he did a good job there. Yeah, we'll save that conversation for another day. So I guess what's next for you? I know you've been playing a lot the last year or so. What's next for the golf game?
Q school, probably going to be the next thing there. Looks like we'll probably enroll late January and probably tour 2026 maybe.
I know you had talked at one point, because I know photography is also a hobby of yours, passion. I know you talked about doing some golf trips throughout maybe the United States or even elsewhere. Is that still something that's on the radar for you? Or are you kind of more just dialed into, just playing consistently right now?
Mainly just consistently right now. The biggest thing with golf trips is the airlines got to learn how to stop losing golf clubs. I'm not going to go through and lose my set. I don't trust the airlines. Based off of the people that travel and the golf clubs that get lost, no way am I doing that. I do go on a golf trip every year over in northern Michigan, potentially Alabama this coming year, but I will not fly with golf clubs. I will refuse. I am not trying to lose those.
Purcell Farms in Alabama or what?
Yeah, potentially in this upcoming spring.
That'd be sick. Is it a big group or what?
Yeah, there's probably, I don't know, 14 teams of twos, 28 people, maybe 20.
Oh, is it all local, or are you just kind of entering something down there?
No. This is all just people that we meet up every single year. My dad did it for a very, very long time. And then 3 years ago, I started joining them. So it's people from the local area, this last year, we had people flying from North Carolina, from Alabama, from South Carolina. So we have people kind of coming in from all over that do it. And normally we go up north, but this last year we went over to Lansing and played a lot of like the nicer courses over there, College Fields, Michigan State's course, Hawk Hollow, Eagle Eye, things like that.
Damn, that is nice. Yeah, I really need to get back into it. I know I keep thinking about it, talking about it, but I frankly don't have a good reason besides I just don't like golfing in Illinois. But eventually we'll get back on the
supposed
pony.
to come and play.
When was that?
This summer. You said that you'd come over to Michigan and we'd play, and we were going to go shoot in the same, like maybe the same day. But you never came over with golf clubs.
That's fair. Well, I apologize. It's my loss. No, it is what it is. Yeah,
I would say the biggest thing outside of golf, I mean, the true thing where you can actually have, I mean, going back to our original question, and the true thing where you can actually have competitiveness in recreational sports is hockey. I know you play men's league lacrosse too. I played that for like 2 games. Now that sucked because nobody knew what to do in anything. It was like teaching middle schoolers. Nobody could agree on an offense, just ball hog. And so that sucked. So I didn't go back to that. I just quit. But you've played multiple seasons of hockey as well as I believe 1 season of lacrosse.
Yeah.
So what is that like compared to golf? I mean, golf, like I said, is just it's too laid back. I mean, you can get into club tournaments, you can get into all those different things, but I mean, if you want to get something truly competitive, it's almost like a contact sport. It's almost where you got to go. I know basketball can get pretty heated, but you got to be in the right neighborhood for that. I mean, you're not seeing those games around here. So,
yeah, I think to your point, Derek, obviously, the physical sports are always going to be a little more competitive, even if technically as men's league sports, they're non-contact, where hockey is technically no contact, where the lacrosse league we played in I don't think it expressly said no contact, but I ended up playing goalie for most of that because we didn't have a goalie and I was on a free agent team, and it's just the only fun thing to do. But yeah, I think it's weird because there's some of the same clientele, or at least age group, crossover between men's league hockey and golf. you get a lot of guys in their 40s, 50s, 60s, but it's the exact opposite of what you're dealing with. I'm dealing with like the 50-year-old guy that lost his high school state championship in 1989, and he's going to take it out on my shins. And so I love I love to talk shit with the best of them, and I think that's one of my favorite things about beer league sports is because I don't take it seriously. Right? Obviously, I want to do well. I want to get some exercise. I want to score goals, but like I just I get under people's skin, and maybe that makes me a scumbag. I don't know, but my favorite one. There's this guy when I was first moved here, playing over in Warrenville, and he was like good technically, like he wasn't a bad hockey player, but he was old, he was out of shape, he was a heavier guy, and he would just as soon as you talk shit to him or gave him like a little like baby slash on the pads or anything like that, he would just lose his mind. And I'm not talking like try to fight you or anything, but he would talk shit back to you, but he would just scream it at the top of his lungs. And it was the most hilarious thing I've ever been a part of because I would just go in there and just like poke him inside and he'd start swearing at me. And then I'd like say one thing back and he would just start screaming. And mind you, this guy's wearing a mouth guard, goggles, full cage, nothing against that. But when he's trying to be the tough guy, and then he would end up trying to fight you, and he would just come at you. You just can't take it seriously, and you half feel bad because it's like this guy's twice my age. He's not in shape, and this is going to be me someday. But like it's just that's half my enjoyment, honestly, with playing adult sports is just messing with people. Yeah, obviously, you get the good relationship with the guys in the locker room. You have beers after games with them, hang out, and so that part's cool. But honestly, the most fun part for me is just messing with people that take it too seriously. You can pick the guys that take it too seriously pretty fast and just have a real good time with them because they usually don't have much self-control either.
So the reason that you play beer league sports and men's sports, to get this straight, is your decompression is adding stress to others.
Yeah, pretty much.
That's what I'm gathering out of this.
Yeah. And then when they actually
good time for golf, then.
Yeah, and then when they get mad at me, I just tell them, hey, why are you taking it on me? You're just gonna go home and kick your dog. Obviously, don't condone animal abuse here. Love dogs, but that's what I tell them. Hey, just go kick your dog. Why are you taking this out on me? Like, I see you got a lot of pent up aggression. Don't know why you want to take it out on me. I'm a nice, pretty guy. I got a nice smile. I don't know what I did to deserve your anger, and that makes me even more mad. And it's a great time. I am probably what's wrong with the world, and that's okay.
So this is why
four walls.
This is why you stay off the golf course then, because normally those are pretty mentally strong people.
I don't get to talk to them. Like the only people I talk shit to on the course are like my buddies when we're there. So, and that's another thing that I don't like about golfing in Illinois is I get paired up with randoms, and what am I going to tell 60-year-old Bobby Joe that nice putt, you jackass. Like, no, I'm not gonna.
No, one of my favorite ones is when they shank it. You just got to look at them and say, "Well, that's a weird way to get there, but okay."
That's not the route I would have taken.
Yeah.
What's your craziest? And it doesn't have to be golf, but I mean, obviously, golf is kind of what you're most experiencing. You have a craziest beer league moment or a recreational sports moment?
I'd almost say no. I haven't seen it for the amount of golf that I play. I have never seen someone hit a hole in one. I've seen people be hit by golf balls, but no, I mean nothing super crazy to kind of like I guess recount on playing. I mean, the only other thing I played lacrosse for like 3 games in like men's league, but other than that, there was nothing kind of crazy in there. I don't know. I feel like if I thought long enough, I could find something from golf. But yeah, I haven't seen anything like just crazy that I could think of off the top of my head.
Well,
I know you have fights in hockey.
Oh yeah, all the time. I know we're on Beer League Heroes, who we might put a Bush League highlight from them on there. Actually, one of my games from Chicago is on Bush League or Beer League Heroes. So
that you played
definitely.
in?
Yeah, I was on the bench during it. I don't know if there's audio on that video, but if there is, then I'm gonna get just ruined on the internet. If anybody can hear it, because I'm usually again, this goes back to just messing with people. Like usually when those things happen, I'm not gonna be involved because again, I don't care that much. I got a day job, but I'll just give it to them from the bench, man. I'll be up over the boards just screaming at people for no reason. So
Sounds like you're an
hopefully there's
instigator, but you won't step into it.
yeah, pretty much. It's a non-contact league. What am I supposed to step into? It's not my
Well, it
fault.
sounds like you're only chirping when you're behind the board.
I'll do it when I'm on the ice too, but generally, if there's like a fight or something going on, I'll give it to them from because they're getting kicked out anyway. They're outside of the rink already, and just feed them. It's fun.
Huh. Okay.
Well, before we move on, just wanted to take a different stance and talk through some of our beer league stuff tonight. Would be curious to know if any of you guys have any beer league or recreational sport stories, but also we just want to know what questions, thoughts you guys have, and so if you are ever so inclined, if you want to slide into our DMs, shoot either one of us a text if you got our number, comment. We'd love to know the questions that you guys have or thoughts or stories that we'd love to share on here. Again, maybe we answer some of your questions. If you have questions about specific professional, college, beer league sports, maybe you just have a crazy beer league story. So feel free to send us those and we will, bring them up. As Derek mentioned when we started this thing, we want to interact with you guys. And so if you got something for us, let us know.
Yeah, if you have a clip, we have an email.
And that email is coffeeandcupspod@gmail.com. I don't know how to pronounce it. I'm going to say coffee and cups, COFFEE, the letter N, CUPS, CUPS, pod, POD, @gmail.com. I don't know what I'm doing, but that's our email address, coffeeandcupspod@gmail.com. Hit us up there. Hit us up on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, TikTok, wherever you want to. Like I said, you can text us.
And if you're bored on a Saturday night and it's like 2, 3 in the morning and you've been drinking, sign us up for some giveaways. Maybe we'll win some stuff.
Sign
Just
us
no
up for some
insurance quotes.
giveaways. No, do not. I get enough spam as it is. Damn it. We'll kick it on to college football, but before we do, we just want to remind you that this podcast is a proud partner of Synergy Coffee Chicago. Ladies and gentlemen, black coffee is back. I know it's 2024 and we're all obsessed with our lattes, oat milks, and pumpkin spice, but rest assured there is something out there that is a lot easier on your taste buds, stomach, and most importantly, your wallet. This show is a proud partner with Synergy Coffee Chicago, an up-and-coming company right here in my backyard. Synergy is proud to produce small batch coffees from all around the world, infusing them with unique flavors and roasting them fresh every week. I personally am hooked on the Dark Knight, which is sourced from Mexico. It boasts a rich flavor with notes of cinnamon, abuelita, and vanilla, and it always hits the spot. I brew it up in my Chemex every weekend when I'm home, and I sip on it all day long. Go ahead and check out synergycoffeechicago.com for more information on the ground and whole bean blends that Synergy has to offer. All right. Thank you, Christopher, for that lovely message from Synergy Coffee Chicago. Well, as we mentioned, it was a fairly good weekend of college football, fairly good weekend of NFL football. Lots of things going on, and we're really just getting into the meat of the schedule. I do want to give a quick shout out before as we get this going. Indiana Hoosiers 5-0 for the first time in 57 years. The reason I bring it up, although it's an irrelevant program, a lot of Indiana Hoosier fans where I work, and so they've been talking a big game and really excited lately. And I personally really love the press conference that Kurt Signetti, their new coach, gave when he came from James Madison this year, when they asked how he would convince players to stay, convince recruits to come, convince transfers to come. And he said, it's simple. Just Google me. I win. And that's
Did you
just,
Google him?
I did Google him. He does in fact win. That is a,
Do you know what's his record?
his record. Let me take a look.
124 and 35.
He's 124 and 35.
I'm going to assume that is only his head coaching record, knowing that he started in a coaching position back in '83, and he didn't take a coaching position as a he didn't take a head coaching position until 2011. But yeah, seeing this in the notes kind of got me curious on there. He is a coach of 3 schools early on, from 11 to 16 and 17 to 18, that I have no idea who they are. Yes, he is 124 for 35. So I can only imagine that that is just counting head coaching and not the other programs where he was a quarterback and offensive coaches.
Yes, I can confirm that would be the case. Yeah, he's pretty much crushed it. So his head coaching record at IUP, he was 53 and 17. Spent 2 years at Elon where he was 14 and 9. Spent some years at James Madison where he was 52 and 9, and is now 5 and 0 as the Indiana Hoosiers head coach. So fantastic coach. It's cool to see. I think there's a lot of talk with the Big Ten expanding, and I think Indiana did not want to be one of those bottom feeder teams that, maybe got relegated out to the new look Pac-12. So they're holding their own. It's awesome.
What is the likelihood you think? What's the likelihood you think that they find themselves deep into the season in still a pretty powerful spot? And I say that in the fact of, how's that going to shape the Big Ten? When's the last time that Indiana's even been in there? I mean, I know we see Iowa in there pretty regularly. So, I mean, what's that going to look like coming out?
I mean, and here's the thing, is their only game that I don't think is, and I say not winnable, but it is winnable, is Ohio State. So looking at it right now, they just beat up on Maryland. They have Northwestern this weekend. They have Nebraska after a bye week at home. They have Washington at home, at Michigan State. They get Michigan at home, and then they finish the season with Ohio State at home. So I think you could see a 10-2 team here, which is crazy to say about them. I think 9-3, 10-2 is a pretty realistic expectation, which would be just a fantastic start to Cignetti's career there, and obviously a big thing for a basketball school that's been up and down in basketball lately. Maybe they're a football school now. Who knows?
That would be crazy. That would definitely help the university. I know that they're definitely a basketball school, but just overall, you bring football in, things are going to start flowing for them.
Yeah, on to some other games, some other teams that are doing very well this year, both coming off of losses, Oklahoma State and Kansas State. And I thought Kansas State was going to win, but they beat the doors off of Oklahoma State. Ollie Gordon looking okay, but not what he was last year. Do we think, I know Kansas State is ranked 23 right now, do we think they have a shot at getting back into the playoff picture, or do you think that ship has sailed even though they only have one loss?
No, I don't think you count Kansas State out at all. With what we've seen from them in the past, I want to say last year, and I can fact check myself here pretty quickly, but they play good football late in the year.
And 2 years ago, they won the Big 12, I believe. The year before Texas won it, because Texas won it last year.
Yeah, but what I want to look at last year, if I can pull it up, apparently I can't. There we go. Okay. So going into schedule here, I want to say last year last year at this point they lost to Oklahoma State and Missouri. So pretty similar to, I mean, they're pretty much on the same road, because they will eventually, they don't have to play Texas this year, which does help them. So I wouldn't be concerned with this team at all. They'll beat Colorado, and I don't see any other major hiccups really, other than potentially Iowa State and potentially
Iowa State's
Houston?
damn good. Iowa State's damn good. I love Matt Campbell. I know there are some rumors he's going to take some bigger jobs. I know Michigan State was on the horizon too, but Matt Campbell's damn good. Yeah, Colorado's going to be interesting this week not this week, but next week they have the bye week. Colorado was a 14-point underdog at UCF and just went off. And I think I've said it before, Travis Hunter is the best player in college football. I didn't know if he could win a Heisman, but this dude's got to be top 3 in Heisman voting. Ashton Genty, obviously, up there, the Boise State running back. But what he has done this year is nothing short of astounding. And so I wanted to pull this up. Charles Woodson in his Heisman season had 21 rush yards, 238 receiving yards, 3 offensive touchdowns. He had 301 punt return yards and a touchdown. Defensively, he recorded 47 tackles, 1 sack, and 8 interceptions. So pretty modest. Very good stats, obviously. He's crazy playing all 3 ways. But Travis Hunter right now, and we're only 4 or 5 games into the season, has 561 receiving yards and 6 touchdowns on 46 receptions, which are both on pace to shatter what he did last year and are on pace to be top 10, top 20 in the country. And then if you look on the defensive side, he has 16 tackles and already has 2 interceptions. He had 3 last year. So if he can keep up this pace, he's got to be in New York at the bare minimum. I think he should win it if you really talk about the best player in college football, right? He had the game-winning touchdown, a crazy catch against North Dakota State. Against Baylor in overtime, he puts his head on the ball and forces a fumble on the goal line to win them the game. Has an interception and a receiving touchdown last week. I don't know what else this guy has to do.
Where does he play in the NFL?
I probably corner. Probably corner. I think he's got this. I think he's got the skill set. I think he's more predictable at receiver, and maybe this is crazy. I think he's gonna be good. I think he has a low ceiling, high floor for receiver. I think he has a much higher ceiling for corner, but I also think he has more of a chance to bust as a cornerback in the NFL. And so I think that's the interesting part is I think receiver's a safer bet, but as a cornerback, the potential is almost limitless there.
Yeah, I agree. I think he needs to stay in the defensive side of the ball. I know obviously offense is a little bit more fun, but I guess it also is going to come down to where he goes, how they could utilize him, and what he's going to be able to pick up. Not saying that he struggles to learn any offense or anything. Obviously, he's a standout right now, but it would be interesting just to see him try and play NFL wide receiver. I think everyone's just, they're so much faster. I think he needs to stay on defense. And not saying that he's not, just with his basic route running, though, I just don't see it compared to some of the other talent that's out there right now in college football.
Yeah, I think that's definitely a fair take, and time will tell. But I think one thing that nobody's going to argue is that dude is an elite talent. Onto another game that was my hot take for the week, that Oklahoma was going to lose to Auburn. And oh my God, were they close. Auburn throws a pick 6 with less than 5 minutes left. Now I got to hear these insufferable Oklahoma Sooner fans just yapping away for no reason. They barely beat Auburn, but 2 weeks, baby. 2 weeks will tell. And I might be sticking my foot in my mouth or I'll be jumping for joy. But yeah, I was, I called it, so I'm not surprised, but also obviously a little bit surprised is Oklahoma's probably a superior team to Auburn.
So will that be on a live stream?
What?
You trying to fit your foot in your mouth?
No, I might live stream some other form of punishment if we lose that game. Yeah, I might have to. I might shave my head on live stream. I'm not going to guarantee that, but there's a potential that I could shave my head on a live stream if we lose that game this year. It's that bad. I don't know.
So did you lose a bet? Who'd you bet on shaving your head?
Nobody. That's just where my mental fragility is right now with this sport and this team.
Okay.
So I might shave my head. I don't know. Funny, we're talking about bets, though. I know we talked about St. Bill Schneider so that he would shove a 5-layer burrito in his ass. And I believe he did that. But the other thing I'm hearing is that he made a similar bet about Florida State this year after week 1. And he did not meet his word on that one, and some people are saying that St. Bill Schneider is the reason that Florida State is dog poopy. Have you heard this rumor? I've heard it. I don't know if it's true.
I haven't heard it, and I think that's a pretty far take. I don't know what his affiliation was prior to week 1, but Florida State is not. I don't think has any affiliation. I think they're their own misery right now. But luckily, DJ is going to be out, so it's time to start putting some building blocks in, and hopefully they can see some success, and he can sit the rest of the year.
Oh, he said he would eat dog shit if Florida State. I don't know which game it was, but he said he'd eat dog shit if Florida State lost, and he did not eat it. And some people are saying that that's the reason they suck. So I'm just floating
I
out
think
there.
this is just a young man trying to get some clout off of doing some pretty stupid stuff on the internet. But hey, I get it.
It's working.
Whatever.
It's working. Maybe that's what I need to do.
You can start with your feet in your mouth, I guess. You're taking workout classes. You'll get flexible.
No, I can already do it. I've been able to. I used to actually suck my toes, not my thumb, as a baby, and I can still put one of my feet in my mouth. So it ain't that hard.
When's the last time you've tried that?
I'm gonna ballpark say within the last 6 months.
Why?
It's like a party trick. Every time someone's like, "You can't suck your big toe," I'm like, "Watch me." You know, I don't know why people just randomly come up to me and tell me I can't suck my big toe. It's kind of a weird thing. I
want to know where you go to parties. Not because I want to go, but
usually just like usually just like little like a party of 2 or party of 3, just a couple people. Just talking about, weird stuff. And sometimes people say that I can't stick my foot in my mouth because I'm fat.
That's crazy.
I would agree with them on that part, but also I can do it. So
that's crazy. Okay.
Anyway, this is a sports podcast, not a whatever we're talking about podcast. Yeah, any thoughts on the Oklahoma-Auburn game?
No, I didn't catch any of that. I'll be honest with you. I caught a little bit of the Bama-Georgia game, and I know we'll get to that. But honestly, I didn't see a whole lot of football at all this week because I had Sunday worked in the morning, and then I had that golf outing from like 2 to 6. But yeah, I am surprised by some of these scores, but not necessarily. I'm more or less surprised by Notre Dame. I'll be honest with you.
Yeah, I see they're doing this thing where I said I couldn't trust them, and then they're just trying to keep earning my trust. I know it was only 31-24, so they only won by a touchdown, but it felt like more than that. It was 21-7 in the first quarter, and yeah, I never know what to think of Notre Dame. I don't think Louisville probably was the 15th best team in the country. I don't love their quarterback situation. They lost their star running back last year, but I was a little bit surprised. And another one, and you mentioned it, so I think we'll just get right to it. Georgia, Alabama, man.
Where'd Ryan Williams come from?
Junior prom.
Yeah, I know. Where's he been for 3 weeks? We haven't heard anything about this kid.
Where have you been living?
I haven't heard anything about this kid.
Yeah, he's ridiculous. He's been great.
And he's just all of a sudden got... Did you see how his NIL earnings have gone up?
No. What are they at now?
He was only evaluated at like $745,000 prior to the Georgia game. And I want to say he's at like $1.6 million now, just based off of the Georgia game alone.
Yeah, well, he needs to figure out how to handle it, though, because I don't think putting your profile picture as Michael Vick holding a pit bull the day after that game is probably the best way to deal with it. I think companies that
everybody's got to have idols.
Yeah, but if Raising Cane's or McDonald's wants to give you some money to be in a commercial, I don't think that's what they're going to want to put their money behind. I
would rather take him putting his profile picture as Michael Vick with a dog over any one of Georgia's DUIs.
Oh, yeah, that's a touchy subject. Yeah, a lot of things going on in that matchup. On the football end, holy hell, it was 28-0, and my girlfriend came home, and she was like, "Can we turn this off to this kind of a trash game?" And I was like, nah, we're going to I waited all day for this damn game. We're going to watch this damn game. And man, I'm glad I did. Went back and forth. I was really hoping because obviously I think Georgia wanted to run the clock out and they ended up scoring really fast. And then you give back to Bama and they're like, okay, we're going to run the clock out. I think they were down by 1 and we'll kick a field goal or get, score at the end. And then they score on a one, maybe 2 play drive with Ryan Williams. And then I was like, okay, this is going to be comical if they score 3 touchdowns in the last 2 minutes. Unfortunately, Carson Beck threw an interception down in the red zone. And now we got we got the people coming out of the woodwork saying that Carson Beck's trash and Jaden Milroe is in fact Tom Brady confirmed. I think Jaden Milroe did a lot for his draft stock. Some smart people said that he's probably the first or second quarterback off the board right now as things stand. Carson Beck obviously had a bit of a tough game with some sloppy turnovers, both fumbles and interceptions. But ultimately for football, it was a great night, a great game. The atmosphere was absolute insanity, and it's only week 5 though, man. These teams they got 7 games or 8 games left to play because they just have a bye week. So yeah, it's going to be interesting.
I haven't seen. I mean, just comparing Carson Beck to the last few Georgia quarterbacks, I haven't been super impressed with him in his whole time. I mean, he's almost like profitable, or I shouldn't even say profitable. He's almost successful and efficient because of his system that he's in. He's just not the same playmaker that you've seen out of the last 2 Georgia quarterbacks. He doesn't have to be. I mean, he's his own person, and it obviously kind of helps them because you scout differently against all of it. But I don't put him at the same caliber as Milroe either, and that's not really looking at the actual even stats. It's just a matter of he's a manager. He's pretty much a game manager.
Yeah, I think at the next level he probably is. I don't know. I got to watch more tape on him. I haven't watched as many full games of him. I know a lot of the concern going in and coming out, frankly, is the receiving core. The past couple of years, he's had Brock Bowers, who's the ultimate blanket for a quarterback. Lad McConkey, who again is way better than I thought he was. He had those big time weapons, and now it's a little more by committee. Arian Smith had a big game, a couple big catches. Dominic Lovett had a lot of targets, but I think that's the interesting thing is now that he doesn't have his 2 guys. Is this just an adjustment period? And maybe it is because he's been fine throughout the season. He hasn't put up gaudy stats, but he's been one of the top 2 or 3 quarterbacks in the country all season. But obviously, this was their first big test. He struggled last week 2 weeks ago against Kentucky, only had 160 yards, no touchdowns. And so, we talked about our level of concern there. I wasn't that concerned about it. I know you were. But then the other thing for me, and curious your take on this, is there a level of concern for both teams, right? Like, is there concern from Georgia that they got down 28-0 and looked like they shouldn't even be on the field with Bama in the first half? And is there concern from Bama that after that, they just, whether it was they took their foot off the gas or Georgia was just that much better than for the rest of the game, is there concern about how much Georgia was able to come back? It's like, I don't know.
I wouldn't say that there's concern with that. I mean, we've seen Georgia win bad games. I say that in the fact of we've seen them pull away from and come out on top of the Kansas game, right? The problem is it looks like they play decent football when their backs against the wall. I mean, what it came down to in Georgia losing this game was kind of one play. Obviously, all the plays make up of the game, but that pick is really kind of the deciding factor. I mean, the last touchdown, and Georgia got that ball back at over 2 minutes and 10 seconds, I want to say, left in the ball game. I mean, any solid quarterback can put together that drive, which they did. It just came down to that final kind of mistake, and there was no time for opportunity left in that. So I wouldn't say it's necessarily a bad thing, and I would say really for Bama, it's just how do you close the door on a good program like that. But I mean, you really can't fault them for that because it's hard to start hot and stay hot at that caliber, just in that competition in general. So I don't think either teams have concern, but I think Georgia needs to figure out bad games first and continue to use those games to figure out schemes, because this isn't the same caliber Georgia program that we've seen in the past 5 years.
Yeah, and I really didn't think they were going to drop this one. I thought Georgia would drop a game at some point, but I thought it was going to be that gauntlet, coming in 2 weeks, starting on the 19th with Texas, and then they had Ole Miss, Tennessee. I thought it was going to be during that stretch run, and so I'm curious. I don't know. They're going to figure it out. Kirby Smart's a great coach. They have a fantastic team still, and they're going to make the playoff with 2 losses regardless. But I did not think they would drop this one, to be quite honest with you.
Kirby Smart's kryptonite. If you haven't seen the stat, I believe he is 1-6 against Bama.
Correct. It's not just Nick Saban. He's afraid of the whole state.
Rightfully so. I mean, they're a bunch of bad men over there. I mean, that's why Texas is winning with a backup quarterback, but the college football committee still said Bama number 1.
Well, the good news is the coaches poll, the people that actually know what they're talking about, not the media poll, have Texas number 1. So I made sure I reminded my my site director of that today, that the coaches say Texas is number 1. So that's all that matters.
Coaches don't pick for the playoffs.
Neither does the AP, so it don't matter.
They use the AP, though.
No, they don't. They don't care about the damn AP poll.
That comes into weight.
I could go right for the Battle Creek Sun Times and get a vote in the AP poll.
I don't think you can.
I'll make it my life's mission at this point. We'll see.
There's no way. There's got to be certain credentials and who's limited to be able to be in.
No, it is. It is. There's essentially, I think there's something like there's essentially one paper for each school, almost, if that makes sense, geographically, one major newspaper in the Dallas region, then one major newspaper in the Austin region, one major newspaper in the Detroit region, one major newspaper in the Indianapolis region.
Right.
But yeah, we'll see how it shakes out. It's still early in the season. A lot of big games coming up. A couple of the last ones, I think a big one for me was Boise State, Washington State. Boise State has aspirations to be the Group of 5 representative as well. They did lose to Oregon earlier this year, but came back and were able to beat Washington. And my guy, Ashton Genty, he's 5 games into the season. He's averaging 10 yards a carry, and he has 13 touchdowns. This dude is ridiculous. And he's not showing any signs of slowing down.
I honestly haven't seen any Boise stuff this year, so I probably need to look into that a little bit, because they used to be, early 2000s. At least into 2010, 2008 timeframe, they were hot. So yeah, maybe we're going to see a return of the blue field on primetime here coming up.
Yeah, and that's why I paid attention to him growing up, and that's the same reason I became a Texas fan. Right? I love the burnt orange when I was 5 years old and fell in love with it. And then there's Vince Young, Cole McCoy, all that stuff. Yeah, they're must see TV right now. Genty had 26 carries, 259 yards, and 4 touchdowns this week. So he's another guy I would expect to be sitting in New York with Travis Hunter, with Jaden Milroe. And then I couldn't tell you who the 4th or 5th guy is going to be right now, but I think there's 2.5, maybe 3 that are pretty locked in already.
Wait, what were those names again?
Ashton Genty, Travis Hunter, Jalen Milroe are my lock-ins.
You realize you didn't even put Quinn in there?
Yeah, because he's sat out almost 3 games. Love the kid. He still could get there, but I just think with the way those 3 are performing, and then you look at Miami with Cam Ward, he threw for 343 yards and 4 touchdowns this week. Granted, they should have lost that game. I think that call at the end to take away the touchdown from Virginia Tech was absolute debauchery, but it is what it is. Cam Ward, statistically, I believe, is the best quarterback in the country right now. And he's got a top 10 opponent, or a top 10 team. He's got all the makings of somebody that's probably going to be in New York. So love it or hate it, you got 3 to 4 guys that are pretty solidified already in those ones.
That's fair.
Well, yeah, we'll see. I think, the fifth one, yeah, could be Beck, could be Jackson Dart, could be Quinn Ewers, could be Garrett Nussmeier potentially.
You better not see Beck hurt.
I don't know. What?
You better not see
Oh yeah,
Beck in
I
there.
mean, it's tough to overcome that performance, but they have the strength of schedule. They're going to be on the stage to be able to rectify that situation. So as of now, it's not looking like it, but it's definitely possible.
He just doesn't
Last
come off
one that I want to
strong.
hit on. Yeah, again, I need to watch more film on him. I haven't seen enough of him on tape to, and that's on me. I don't watch enough Georgia football. Last one I want to go through. Penn State, Illinois. Not a lot here, Derek. I don't know if you have any thoughts, but was trying to see if this would be a coming out party for the Illinois team who's ranked 19th, but Penn State takes it. They're 4-0. Yeah, not a ton here. Again, I talked about at the start of the season, Drew Aller, they won 21-7, but he had 135 yards, no touchdowns. At some point, you got to put pencil to paper and whatever you want to say, cleat to field, foot to butt, ball to end zone. He's got to make the connection at some point. And that's where I'm struggling with Penn State because they're a top 4 team if he decides he wants to be the best quarterback in the Big Ten. Not even in the country, just the Big Ten. There's some good quarterbacks there.
Did it rain during this game?
I have no idea. Why?
I just don't understand why
the
Penn State didn't. I just don't understand why Penn State didn't run away with this. I don't care whether it's on the ground or whether it's through the air. I mean, Illinois' defense isn't that. They should never hold Penn State to 21. Not in this game.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying, right? Like the running game got going for Penn State. They had the two-headed monster. Katron Allen had 102 yards and a touchdown. Nick Singleton had 94 yards and a touchdown. Tyler Warren, their tight end, had 13 rush yards and a touchdown. Drew Aller had 15 rushing yards and no touchdown. So they're running the ball fine, but Drew Aller, I don't even know what to say or how to frame it at this point. It's just not happening. And again, new offensive coordinator, got it. But we're a third of the way through the season. We're in conference play. That can't be an excuse anymore. So,
yeah,
I don't know for them, man. I don't know for them. Unfortunately, we don't have as many good games this week, or at least ones that I think are going to be great games. So, curious if you have anything different. We have a couple of Friday night games, which is interesting this week, and some pretty decent ones too. Michigan State at Oregon, where as usual, I hope that Oregon beats the tar out of them. Oregon is currently favored by 24 with the over-under at 52.5. And then the other one that I'm actually interested to watch is UNLV versus Syracuse. Syracuse is 3-1. We talked about them earlier, that Kyle McCord is really finding a second life to his career in Syracuse. And then UNLV, obviously the NIL situation, they're 4-0, looking to make it into the playoffs. They are at home in Las Vegas. They are currently a 5.5 point favorite with an over under set at 59.5. So the experts think this is going to be just an absolute shootout.
Okay. I would tell you, kind of looking forward to this week, one game I think we can't sleep on is SMU and Louisville. I don't think you can sleep on that game. SMU being 4-1, both teams undefeated in the ACC. I think that's a game that you have to at least put a little bit of energy in. Louisville being the obvious favorite there, being 22 or 22nd in the country, but I don't think you count out SMU there. They've put together a pretty strong kind of season so far. Obviously, you can go through and say Missouri, Texas A&M in there, 25-9, but I don't think this is going to be as much of a competition as what's being shaken up. It is Mizzou's second SEC game of the year and A&M's third. So we'll kind of see. But I guess the game that I kind of want to kick it to most is there is a repeat of the national title game.
Oh, Michigan and Washington.
Yep.
I think it's going to be a pillow fight.
I think so too, but I
not a
am
pillow
still
fight.
curious to see. I just don't know what Washington's made of anymore. Losing your coach is different. And they obviously lost their quarterback too, but is this a program that was able to reload, as well as this is a Michigan team that is kind of going to be tested by somebody within their caliber. We know that we saw them beat USC. USC is still showing at 11, right behind Michigan, but we never really said, USC was Michigan's caliber. Everyone said, Michigan was bad. USC is gonna whoop on them. But obviously, like I said before, this is a repeat of the national championship game, and so this Washington team, obviously not ranked this year and having 2 losses, you almost want to put them higher than USC that wasn't even in the playoff. It's just personal opinion at that point, but I don't know. I think this is going to be a good game.
Yeah, they've got 2 losses. They lost to Washington State, who was undefeated until they played Boise State. So good team. And they lost to Rutgers, who was also undefeated. So, I mean, I didn't have high hopes for this team coming in, but their only 2 losses are to 2 teams that were undefeated going into this weekend, and Rutgers still is. And so, because they played Rutgers this weekend. So, yeah, is it at Washington or is it at Michigan?
Washington.
It's at Washington. Let me see. Do you have the line on it right now?
Yeah, I do. I want to say it's
it's minus 2.5 Washington.
Yeah, 41.5 for the over too. So I mean, that's why I said I think for the first time it's almost, you could say, it's kind of funny. It's a repeat of the national championship game because it's also 2 teams battling that are in the exact same position.
Yeah.
New coach, obviously new quarterbacks. Michigan has lost more in its depth, but I wouldn't say Washington hasn't either. The difference is their players just transferred versus made the jump to the draft in the NFL.
Yeah, I'm really interested at the odds makers right now. 2 reasons. So obviously Michigan's ranked 10th and Washington's not ranked, and they're favored 2.5. And I want to go back to the last game you just talked about that we glossed over. And it pains me to say this, but Texas A&M is going to beat Missouri this week.
I don't think so.
And I want to pick it as my upset, but somehow they're favored. I know it's at home, but how much home field advantage are we giving teams right now?
Kyle Field's crazy. That's why
Notre Dame
crazy.
Notre Dame won there, and they lost to NIU.
Early year.
Yeah,
first game.
That one really, really.
They were still
me.
teaching the freshmen how to chant.
Oh God! Don't even start with those lunatic cult members that are whatever, the yell leaders. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, they were still teaching the freshmen what the ropes were because they couldn't get them on campus fast enough for spring training. So
they should.
Kyle Field is in full effect right now. That is what that's what ESPN is seeing. That's what DraftKings, everybody sees. They are in their full effect. Kyle Field, it is a downhill run for this team right now.
That I don't know, man. Well, I can't pick them as my upset anymore, but I will say Texas A&M is going to win. I think Michigan wins and cashes out for their game. Yeah, that's a weird one. I'm going to have to. I'm very interested.
I was just gassing your ass. I think Mizzou still wins that game.
Yeah, I know. I tuned you out as soon as you started gassing up A&M. I tuned you out. I don't want to talk about A&M any more than I absolutely have to. Another big one, Big Ten. Rutgers undefeated against Nebraska, who is 4-1. Their only loss coming to Illinois. Nebraska is favored by 6.5 here. Do you think the Scarlet Knights can keep it undefeated, or is the Dylan Raiola show coming, baby?
No, I don't think that we have to worry about Dylan Raiola. I think we'll be fine.
So Rutgers is winning it?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. That was a quick decision. The other one I want to point to, and probably the last one, Derek, unless you have any other ones, Ole Miss versus South Carolina. Ole Miss 4-1, ranked 12th. Obviously came up short against Kentucky this week, which makes Georgia's tough game against Kentucky not look as bad. South Carolina's 3-1, only loss being the game that we talked about with LSU, where if a couple penalties go a different way, they win that game. This is honestly a tough one for me. I didn't think it would be, but I'm actually kind of up in the air on this one.
This game comes down to who wants to play defense.
Okay. And who's that going to be in your estimation?
South Carolina.
It's in South Carolina. I don't hate it. So just to track on this, I have SMU in the game we talked about earlier. I'm taking Syracuse over UNLV. I'm taking Texas A&M over Missouri. I'm also going to I'll take Michigan over Washington. I think those are the main ones. The last one that I would say is Duke, Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech's 3-2, Duke's 5-0, but Georgia Tech is favored by 9. I like Georgia Tech in this game. Shout out to Malik Murphy at Duke, but I like Georgia Tech in this game still.
The biggest thing, I mean, kicking it back to Ole Miss and South Carolina, is if Ole Miss comes out with a vengeance knowing they lost to Kentucky. But from what we've seen out of this Ole Miss team is they know they can score, so there's no pressure on their defense. That's why it comes down to defense. So we'll see. We'll see what they can do, knowing that they, I mean, it was a defensive battle last week, but I mean, historically this season they know they can score, but we'll see. We'll see on that.
And then this is truly the last one. I know you were taking a step away when I was talking about the Miami versus Virginia Tech game. What are your thoughts on that last play? I think Virginia Tech should have won it. I don't like that rule. I think that was stupid.
I never saw it.
Yeah, so essentially,
I saw you guys texting about it, and I never clicked into it. I mean, we could probably pull a clip up and watch it.
Yeah, so there was a Hail Mary, if you want to pull it up, but yeah, there's a Hail Mary. Virginia Tech throws it into the end zone, and at first there's no signal. It looks like the ball's on the ground, and then the ref calls touchdown. It's like, oh shit, Virginia Tech won this, and they get into it. The Virginia Tech receiver had possession the whole time, but the Miami player that was sitting out of bounds, his butt was in the white stripe, he touched the ball. He did not have possession, but essentially when they reviewed it, they said that because he was out of bounds and he touched the ball, did not possess, he touched it with his hand.
This was the one where it
dead.
comes into the fact that he was running out of bounds, came back in, now he's an ineligible player.
No, this is they're laying on the ground in the end zone. The Virginia Tech player has it like in his stomach, and the Miami player is trying to rip at it, and he's out of bounds. And they said since he was out of bounds and he touched it, it's a dead ball. The ball is out of bounds essentially, and it was just I don't know, man.
I guess I'm confused then because if the play was active when the ball went down, okay.
I just think, in my estimation, right, if one guy has possession and the other never even has anywhere close to possession, that's a touchdown. Now, if they were both wrestling for and it's like a dual possession and the Virginia Tech receiver rips it away and that Miami defender's out of bounds, okay, cool. Or if he rips it out of his hands and out of bounds, yes. But I just think the fact that touching it with no possession, right, like, I don't know, and there's a reason I'm not a ref or anything like that, but I didn't like the way that ended. Partially, I wanted Virginia Tech to win, but also just as a fan, I think that should have counted.
So I watched the video, and my first biggest question is, and same thing with the NFL, how much is the NCAA worth? And you're telling me that when they show in the slow-mo there, they don't have cameras that can go at a higher frame rate so you can actually have a little bit more clarity than them just slowly skipping down? That's crazy. These players, I know, understand they move fast, but come on, gentlemen.
Well, I think
higher
they
frame
do.
rate camera up there. This is crazy.
I mean, I believe and hope the refs have, but I don't think we just don't get to see it.
Okay, that's fair.
So yeah,
that was trash. You didn't really see much.
Yeah, I'm on the side of Virginia Tech. I think they won that game, but to each their own. Let us know what you think. If you think I'm full of garbage, or if you think I'm right, I don't know. I'm generally not, but I could be. With that, we'll wrap up college football and we will push it over to Derek. Derek should have a Bush League Play of the Week queued up for us. I am curious to see what he's got.
I do have the link in there if you can see it, but I think it's almost a Pee Wee version of what pretty much happened during the Notre Dame game this week. If you're able to go through and see that link, I'm kind of clicking into it right now.
Which
So we got
link? Sorry, sir.
It should be in your OneNote.
All right, I'll give it a look. But take us through it for those of us that have not seen it yet.
So it's a way more gruesome play here than what we saw in Notre Dame. But obviously, if you guys saw Faison over in Notre Dame go through with the punter, he ended up spearing the football out of him and recovering that. But this is a game where it looks like we have total domination just coming out of the Red Raiders there to the Rebels. And this is just a statement that you can just make when a team's 4th and 15 in their own end zone, already just getting beat. For you to be able to send an edge blitz and just demolish a punter like this, I don't know how you continue this game as a coach. I mean, there's clearly some bad blood and animosity here because these kids are just giving it to these Rebels. So I don't know. It's a little interesting.
Did they get a piece of the ball or no? Is it just straight
body?
No.
Just straight bodied this kid up top. I mean, it's all upper body. He went high on the hip, but the thing was ball was still in possession of the punter. So it does not matter. I mean, the ball actually kicked about almost 7 yards forward after the kid just got leveled. And it looks like he's actually trying to kick the ball, but it's just his feet coming off of the turf as he just got his top half just wiped.
Interesting. Yeah, we'll post that on our Instagram story as well as in the description if you're consuming this podcast on any sort of a streaming platform. I have not had a chance to see this play yet, but I will be watching it with you guys.
There's a flag on the play. So,
what's the flag for?
I don't know. I'm gonna have to send him a DM, I guess, to figure it out. It doesn't say. It's literally just a clip of this kid just getting cleaned, and then it just.
How old are these kids?
I think maybe high school. Maybe it's in your Instagram DMs too.
Okay, I'll take a look at it in there. As we keep it rolling, I know NFL another big week. We got the Thursday night game coming up here soon. We're starting to get to that point of the season where you can kind of see how things are going to shake out, right? We have some big unfortunate injuries that are changing things. You know, we're seeing how new coaches are settling in. I guess what's your take on the season so far, and you know, where are we? I guess where do you think we're headed? You know, with the current layout of this week and the coming weeks.
Trash.
What's trash? Why did you just say trash?
Because you asked where we're headed. The Browns are 1-3 and lost to the freaking Raiders, and I guarantee you we don't win this week either. There's really not much other news you need to hear about.
Well, then we can just dump him.
Getting rid of him. Trying to get rid of him. I went from the savior to we got Jerry Jeudy now, but Amari Cooper not producing. Obviously, we have Noodle Arm Deshaun that says running. Never heard of it. You want me to do that in practice? Probably not. You already told me.
I ain't no running back. So, I'm not a running back.
Are. I mean, really, the whole NFL has just kind of gone to shit. Luckily, the Ravens are starting to pick it up so we can get some normalcy. But the Bears are winning fucking football games. The Browns still kind of doing the Browns things. But, I mean, it's just we got the whole world turned upside down.
And we got Carolina at home this week, baby. The Red Rocket coming to town to get beat down by Caleb Williams. I like where this season's going. And but before you go in on me, I know you mentioned in your chirping of me at one time that Justin Fields made stair steps throughout his career of, you know, each year he had a little bit higher passer rating. Well, your boy Caleb Williams is dwarfing that week to week. He's seen massive increases in his QBR, up to over 100 this past week. So I know he only had 175 yards and a touchdown, but his QBR was fantastic. Still holding it a little long sometimes, but the kid's doing some good things. He's improving. And Torrey Taylor, the 4th round punter pick, has been just Mwah, what we needed. So, fun fact, and I don't think they normally keep punter facts like this, but the ESPN win percentage chance, the before fourth down, like after third down, and then after he punted, each of his 5 times, the win percentage chance for the Bears went up 1.9%, 0.09%, went down 3.2%, and then his last 2 punts after he punted, their win percentage chance went up 7% and 8%. So all in all, he gave them a 22% higher chance to win by punting the damn ball. So I know Caleb said he's not going to punt a lot, but hey, it's working.
Sounds like he's the most effective player on that team.
Fine with me. Caleb will get it. That punter's one position where you don't have to break into the NFL. If you can kick the damn ball, we love you.
Yeah, he'll slowly start to settle on his color palette, and he'll find which ones give his little fingers power ups, and I'm sure he'll keep climbing that QBR, I guess.
Hey,
One
you want
week's
to talk
not going to
about
make him.
you want to talk about painting nails? Your boy Ryan Williams that we just hyped up for Bama, he paints his nails.
Not my boy. I said I never heard of him until this week.
Oh, well, he paints his nails and he's a dog. Dog.
So what are you telling me?
I'm just saying people paint their nails, man. It's 2024. You do what
You
you
gonna start
want.
painting your nails?
No, I'm growing out my hair, though. Got a little lettuce going on here, baby. Little
Just make sure you wash
letty. Probably. Any games you're actually watching this weekend since you're not going to be watching the Browns then?
Yeah, Bills Ravens. Oh nope, I lied. That was already happening.
That already happened this week.
Ravens Bengals. Yes, Ravens Bengals.
Ravens Bengals. Do you think? I mean, if the Ravens win this game, Cincinnati is. I mean, they're already in trouble, but they are in Zach
They're
Taylor
not in
being
trouble.
fired trouble.
They're not.
What do you mean they're not in trouble?
They're bottom feeders.
Bottom feeders are usually in trouble.
No, it's good for the division. We need somebody to be there. I mean, Cleveland's really trying to fight them for it, which will make it interesting because I have tickets to go to the Cleveland Bengals game. So it'll make it very interesting to see what that's going to look like. But I think the Ravens are finally starting to come into their own, and they're starting to adjust to Derrick Henry. Obviously, it's really easy to adjust to somebody based off of the game that he had last week. What was he over? Was just under 240 yards?
Yeah. So the prior week he had 184, and last week he had 199.
Okay, so he didn't break 2. Okay, so yeah, he's coming into his own, and we're finally starting to see what that backfield can look like, which is really, really good. But it is the first AFC North matchup too, so it'll be interesting because I anticipate the Bengals knowing a little bit more about the Ravens than who they've played in the past teams in the last couple of weeks. But we will see though, because Derrick Henry is a complete change to this full backfield compared to what they've had in the past.
Yeah, and one thing that I was surprised at, obviously I know Derrick Henry's a monster and he's been doing it for 9, 10, whatever years now, but that rushing touchdown this week was his 95th of his career, which I didn't know he had that many, and that's only 4 behind Barry Sanders for 10th all time. So not only is he probably the best running back of our generation, or this generation, I shouldn't say our generation because our generation, I'm going to say Adrian Peterson was that running back. But I mean, he's up there with some of the all-time greats, and so good for Derrick Henry. Yeah, good for them. I think Baltimore is going to take that one. It's in Cincy, but they're still favored by 2.5 with the over/under at 50.5, which appears to be the highest over/under in the NFL this week. The next one is San Francisco, Arizona at 49.5. So could see a high-scoring affair there, and obviously definitely going to be some implications as neither of these teams started the season the way they really wanted to. But one team's gotten it back on track. The other hasn't yet. Big shocker here. I know I mentioned a pillow fight for another game in college, but the pillow fight of the weekend is going to be Miami at New England with a thundering over-under of 35.5, and New England actually favored by 1 point in that game. So if you like sports, turn the TV off for that game. You might not like sports after that. That's going to be just an utterly atrocious game, in my humble opinion.
That's the game you chose to highlight.
I highlighted as, if you like sports, don't watch it. Just want to make sure people turn their TV off for that one.
I really didn't think that was the game you were going to say that for, but it makes the most sense.
What did you think I was going to say it for?
I thought you were going to try and dog in the Steelers.
No. I mean, the Steelers and the Cowboys, if anybody, I'm a dog on the Cowboys. I think the thing I was most surprised about, though, and like I mentioned, and some people took offense to it, is I was just surprised that statistically, Justin Fields had his best game by far, and it was the only game they lost. They started 3-0 when he was, feeling his way out, and his stats weren't there, but then he threw for over 300 yards, had a couple rushing touchdowns, and that was the game they lost. So that's all I was saying, is I was just curious that those circumstances came together, but still a great team.
Yeah, I mean, in the end of the day, defense wins games in the NFL. We've seen that time and time again, and I'll use that as a perfect segue. The other game that I'm excited for this week 5 is just going to be the Bills and the Texans. I struggle to say that the Texans could take this because they're kind of like the pro version of Notre Dame right now. We don't really know what the we're going to get.
Yeah, and that's why I said, I don't think we'll see a sophomore slump necessarily from this team or from Stroud, but there's something to be said about, right, there's a year of film on them. Obviously not Stephon Diggs, but the offense as it is with Tank Dell, Nico Collins, it's on film. People can plan for it. And so they have a fantastic offensive coordinator that's going to be a head coach next year. I think him and Ben Johnson from Detroit are probably the two best in the game right now, and will both be head coaches next year. But I think there's always going to be a little bit of regression, just because, I mean, it's one of the best rookie seasons we've ever seen, and it came out of nowhere just with the team they had. And so, yeah, I always thought they would come back a little bit, but we'll see how far it is. Obviously, a great quarterback matchup, and Buffalo is favored by 1 at Houston. So
you say that obviously they didn't see him with Diggs, but this is a team that knows Diggs.
Yeah, that's true too. I didn't even think about that.
Mannerisms on field. I mean, they know Diggs, so they have their number right now.
Yeah, that'll be an interesting one too. And one thing I know, obviously, there's a lot to be made out about Diggs being potentially a diva when he was in Buffalo, and then we've seen kind of the opposite of that. Now, I don't know. These guys are smart. They know the image part, so I don't think it was purposeful, but you've just seen a different side of him in the way he's acting on the sidelines and with the team and in training camp this year, that maybe he's more comfortable, more in his element in Houston. I don't know, obviously, what the dynamic was like in Buffalo, but there was obviously some tense situations there, to the point where his brother Trayvon with the Cowboys was tweeting about getting him out of there, and just not a good situation. So yeah, I'll be interested to see that. But top to bottom, this Houston wide receiving core is absolutely nasty, and so I think this will be a high fly. And what I'm surprised it's not the highest over for the week, but I mean, it's only 3 points off, so not too crazy to think that these two teams could put up a lot of points this weekend.
I mean, Diggs isn't he's not fooling the general public, I would say. I mean, it's like anybody that gets a new job that leaves a job because they were maybe mad or something like that. Like, in the end of the day, he's happy because it's new. Just wait. Wasn't the first team he left being a problem.
Yeah.
So I don't think that it's a matter of, oh, this is a different organization. It's new. Just wait.
Yeah. And I know there's a lot of guys that are, maybe considered problems. Were you shocked and going to another team where there were some comments made this weekend? What's your thought on the Tom Brady broadcast and some of the Baker Mayfield comments about Tampa Bay in the Tom Brady era? I thought that was a wild back and forth there, especially with Brady commentating the game. Just a quite an uncomfortable situation, quite frankly.
Because I only know kind of like the one comment, but if I'm understanding kind of the total question there, we're talking about where, in my perception of the kind of the whole controversy there is Tom got to be to his level and to develop his expectations because it was a proven way, right? I mean, we can go through and look at branding. It's the TB12. He can
Mm.
say, "Well, I have fun and I have less stress going for Super Bowls, things like that." But Baker doesn't have anything proven, right? So at what point he can't give up being a culture guy? I know he says it's
Yeah.
less stress with him versus Tom there, but in the end of the day, people kind of knew that almost, Tom almost had his own like Michigan way. You're going to stay, you're going to conform to this, you're going to be a champion, where Baker didn't have that. So people could easily be looking at him and just, if he's not a culture kind of guy and being a guy's guy right now, where it's going to be a problem. And that's not to say Tom wasn't like that early on, right? Obviously, this is looking hindsight 2020 for Tom, where he can kind of play that toughened, this is the way that I always did it. And it's like, yeah, but were you like that having a career like his, where your first team was like, get out, we don't want you? You know what I mean? Like, even though the locker room liked Baker, they didn't. Like, the organization didn't. So I think it's a tough thing to say. I think that where Baker's at right now, I mean, he's got to play the cultural role to try and develop that leadership, just because there's no proven method for him.
Yeah, and I mean, culture it's a word we use a lot, but it means different things, right? Like Tom Brady's culture was winning. The winning was the culture, whereas culture can also be developed in, whatever team camaraderie, or it can be developed when you're put in a bad situation, your back's against the wall, nobody believes in you, right? That's how culture can be developed. And so I think it's more of a thought about how culture is developed. But yeah, just a weird exchange there, on both ends, and frankly, I don't think either of them are wrong. I think you know they they weren't set up for long-term success after Tom Brady, and they knew that. They were set up to be kind of, hey, we're going to hit it hard, win the Super Bowl while Tom's here, and then we're going to kind of have to figure our way out after then. And so it makes sense that Baker came in and was like, hey, we're going to change this culture. We're going to be, a little more fun loving. We're going to kind of get back into the love of the game. And then, yeah, you got Brady where it's just like, hey, no, like, I'm going to show up. We're going to win. We're going to do things this way. We're going to do it. And that's going to be it. And you saw there was a reason Bruce Arians retired after that first season with Brady, right? Like it, you know, it works, but it is hard on human beings. And that's just a fact. And you win 7 Super Bowls and you can do that. But not everybody's done that has that attitude. And so I think, yes, Tom Brady has earned every right to have that attitude and say that. And I think Baker also is correct in his point. So I don't make too much of it. I think it's just two competitors, talking about their philosophy and their career and what's going on around them. And but definitely was an interesting one to air that out on television in quotes.
Well, what about Tom Brady saying that he was also looking at potentially the Bears and that what was like 10 million a year, something like that?
Yeah, that would have been the stupidest decision he ever made. So kind of a cool one, but that team was going to be ass.
Yeah, but Tom Brady
Regardless.
going against Aaron Rodgers, that would have been pretty interesting.
Yeah, I mean, it would have been cool, but I think Brady made the right decision for him and to win. So no regrets overall for that situation.
Yeah, it's fair.
Before we wrap it up for the night, I know we're 2 weeks out, so we'll be brief on it, and then we'll dive in more to the Red River rivalry next week. Coming up on October 12th, Texas and Oklahoma. Derek, what's your initial thoughts and feelings going into this game this week?
Didn't something just happen in Oklahoma? I was trying to look at this earlier. Aren't they having a QB problem right now?
Yeah, they benched Jackson Arnold 2 games
That's
ago
what I
against
thought.
Tennessee for a true freshman, Michael Hawkins, who is a dual threat guy, scored a couple touchdowns in that game, and then played fairly well. Nothing too crazy against Auburn this week.
I'll be honest. Texas needs to get up early and they need to pull Quinn.
No. What? What? Why?
This isn't a game to leave him out there for cheap shots, knowing he's got abdominal strains. I wouldn't. There's no point. What's the point of this? This is a game that, win this game, it's really not going to help you get anywhere. We know this isn't a good team.
Yeah, but after what happened last year, this is revenge tour. I mean, here's what I'm excited to see, and I looked it up. So this is Sarkisian's 4th year. They've never had a bye week going into Oklahoma, and both teams have a bye week, so both teams have an extra week to get healthy. But Steve Sarkisian with an extra week to scheme up his offense could be special, is the best word I could use for it, right? We saw last year, he had the whole offseason to scheme up for Bama. Even the first year when they lost to Bama when Quinn got hurt, right? He had all offseason and he was just planning for Bama and just had a masterful play script. You could say similar against Michigan where they went up 24-3 in the first half this year. When he has time to think about a game and doesn't have other stuff in his way, this dude is the most elite play caller and scripter on the planet right now. So that's what I'm excited to see is how crazy is he going to get? What is he going to pull out of the pocket with 14 days to prep for OU with a healthy Quinn Ewers?
But do we know he's 100%?
From what I'm understanding, he will be by that time. They said he could have played this weekend. He was about 70% this weekend against Mississippi State. Obviously, there wasn't any need to play him there. So from my understanding, he'll be as fresh as one can be 6 games into a college football season.
Okay.
Good. So we'll see.
Other than that, I haven't seen any odds come out yet for it, so I haven't even seen what the books are
it's there, gross. But it is rat poison, and that's what I don't like coming into this game ever is.
Why? What is it?
I think it's like Texas -14, dude. It's rat poison.
Why is that rat poison?
Because you start thinking you're better than you are, and that's what I hate. That's my biggest concern every year coming into Oklahoma week is Oklahoma hates us way more than we hate them. And I hate when we come in thinking, when everyone comes in thinking Texas is the best and Oklahoma's, probably going to put up a fight, but not going to be great. That's just a recipe for disaster. So that's frankly my biggest concern is I just don't love going into those games like that. We do not have odds on ESPN yet. So, but I did see somewhere that it was. I saw somewhere that said it was 14, and I hope it's not 14. Toss it up as a push. That's what I want. They need to put it on paper as a push. That's what the boys need.
I think you need to stop buying into what the books think that much. Then, if you think the boys are looking at that like that,
But if the books are buying into it, the fans are buying into it. And that's the concern is the fans that are in their ears every day, the fans that are on Twitter, on Instagram. I know most players don't get distracted by that or shouldn't, but that's always my concern is, you start nibbling on the rat poison. And that's just, we saw it last year. Definitely should not have lost that game, but you come out, you turn it over 3 times. You're going to lose to Oklahoma if you turn it over 3 times in that rivalry game. So, got to take care of the football. Again, we'll get more in depth into it next week. But I'm not concerned about the game. I feel really good about the team we're putting on the field and where they're at. And Sarkisian with 2 weeks to scheme up. But I'm just never comfortable going into that game. Thinking Texas is much better. What's the line?
14.5.
Oh, no. I hate that so much. I hate that so much.
More amped up.
What?
It's 2.5 against Georgia right now.
Texas?
Yep.
I mean, it's at home. It makes sense. It's at home. Georgia just lost. We're undefeated. That's what I want the Oklahoma one to be. I want Oklahoma to be like -2.5. Like, yeah, whatever. It's a field goal. Just
okay.
Some people can handle it. Some people can't. I think this team can, but it just gets my blood pressure up throughout the next 2 weeks. So I don't know. With that, we'll wrap it up with hot takes, and we'll kick it on to next week. Derek, what's your hot take for the week?
I want to say Derrick Henry under 100 yards.
Okay. Under 100 yards. Who do they got? They're
Bengals.
Bengals. Under 100 yards. Bengals defense is not good.
No, I know, but I want to say that they're going to kind of come out against this Ravens. They normally have a pretty good game against the Ravens.
Okay. All right. For me, I wanted to go a long range one, but the odds aren't as long as I wanted. I wanted to say Travis Hunter wins the Heisman. But
nope.
That's not that spicy at this point.
It's like saying born overall.
Oh, that could happen too.
That is not happening.
Why is that not happening?
Because he's not good.
I think that it's not that hot. I don't know. I don't have a ton of spicy hot takes.
What do you think about Dave Portnoy saying that he will spend he'll spend millions of dollars to get Michigan a top 10 quarterback every year?
The quarterback's still going to want to go to Michigan. So that's going to be the hard part.
Oh, is that your hot take, that Michigan can't get a top 10 quarterback in the next 2 years?
No, it's not my hot take, but I mean, Harbaugh's the quarterback whisperer, and it took him 7 years to get J.J. McCarthy. He was using Iowa's transfer portal quarterbacks and Shea Patterson and Jake Rudock. So and now you don't have a quarterback whisperer coach. So it's not that I don't think they'll get a terrible quarterback, but I just think it's not a school with the way they play and their current coaching situation that's going to get you a top 5 quarterback.
Yeah.
So I think Zach Taylor is no longer the coach of the Bengals when we record next week.
Okay.
That's my hot take. That's a stupid one. Maybe not by record, by next Sunday. So we'll give it till the end of next week, not next Tuesday. By next Sunday, Zach Taylor will not be the coach of the Cincinnati Bengals.
Okay.
I want to say Billy Napier, but that's not hot. Billy Napier sucks. Well, Florida sucks. Billy Napier doesn't suck, but
tough statement.
It is what it is. Any parting shots for you, Derek, as we wrap up here for episode 5, 6? Is this 6? Is this 5? It's 5. Episode 5.
No, I don't think I have anything crazy. Just gonna try and watch some football on Sunday. See.
Hell yeah, baby. I'm a bachelor this weekend. The girlfriend's out of town, so I'm gonna be a bump on a log. I'm gonna eat a lot of chicken wings, and then I'm gonna work out after I eat the chicken wings. So I'll be half bad, half good, and then gonna watch some football, and then gonna pretty much do nothing. So I'm rearing up for NHL to start this weekend, as well as Red River in 2 weeks, and that's where you'll find me, baby.
How much are you working out during the week? You doing like 3 classes a week?
So that's my goal is a Tuesday morning class. Do a Tuesday morning class, a Thursday night class, and then a Saturday class, as well as trying to skate 1 day a week to start up again. So
Jeez, oh pigs.
3 lifts and 1 skate is going to be my goal to get things back where I want to be. There's a hockey tournament on Lake Louise in Banff, Alberta, the weekend of Valentine's Day, and that's what we're playing for. So
you're going and you're playing in that?
Potentially, we'll see.
That'll be cool. That's a beautiful area.
Yes, sir. I'm trying to get my parents to come. Trying to get Celia's parents to come. So if we go, we'll definitely bring everybody along. But yeah, that's where I'm at. Trying to get back in shape, in the rhythm of things, and be an athlete, man.
Nice.
Well, thank you guys for tuning in. As always, we will see you next week for episode 6 of the Coffee and Cups podcast.
Tune in next Sunday for another show and a cup of Joe.